Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. Brought to you by Blue Sky Business Consulting. We discuss 5 questions in about 15 minutes. Hello again, everyone. It's time for the Team Engagement Podcast, and we're always excited that you're choosing to join us to talk a little bit more about leadership and to hear from expert guests that I bring on the show. And today is no different. This is Josh Troche, and he is involved with a couple of really great projects. First of all, PedalStomper Productions, which is some podcasting that he'll talk about in just a second, and also the Business Fix, which is some business consulting and leadership. So I'm going to pause there. And Josh, thank you so much for being on the show with me today. Tell us a little bit more about some of the projects you're working on.
First off, thanks for having me. I really do appreciate it. And for me, it's the projects are just part of life that I've always found wonderful. The first one's PedalStomper Productions. Yeah, we help people with podcast production, which is tough to say without blowing up the microphone with a bunch of P words. I got into podcasting by chance back in 2018 and went full time with it in 2021 and absolutely have loved it ever since. On the flip side of it too, we've got the Business Fix, which came out of used to talk with one of my other podcast hosts we produce for, and her and I would end up in the studio talking about about leadership all the time. And we found we had alignment. And the one day I just looked at her and I said, "Do you want to do a podcast about this?" And she gave me the most aggressive yes I have ever heard to anything in my entire life. So we started that podcast. And it's kind of exploded for us, and we've built that into some consulting and speaking gigs and went from there with it.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, congratulations on the
Thank you.
success of all the projects that you're working on. So,
Thank
well,
you.
let's go ahead and get started with our questions. Then our first question, Josh, when in an environment, especially nowadays, whether it's virtual or whether it's in person, culture is such a big part of it. And even more specifically, how can leaders create a psychologically safe environment in their business culture, in their team culture? What are some ways to do that?
It's funny. I hear so many people talk about this, and a lot of people give the like, well, it's built on trust, it's built on vulnerability, and a lot of people give the big word answers, is what I like to call them. In so many cases, to me, like it's tough to make it actionable. And the thing that I always like to say about making it actionable is the easiest one is saying the hard things. That to me is the number one thing. Now, is saying the hard things in a way that
Right.
lets everyone know that you have the best interests of everyone in mind. Now, that makes sure that there's some people that are going to be like, wait a minute, this sucks for me. I get
Yeah.
it's for the greater good, but this sucks for me. And your willingness to say that directly without sugarcoating. I hate it when people talk about the sandwich, like I'm going to say something good, I'm going to say the bad thing, and then I'm like, no, that's a sandwich that no one wants. Just dole it out, give them a spoon, let them eat the garbage part, and go from there. So to me, it really is that clarity is kindness, and if you do that, it once again, it's not a magic bullet. It doesn't happen overnight, but
Right.
if you do that, it starts to earn that trust. It starts to show that vulnerability. And then people realize that, hey, we are in this together rather than he's going to go out and buy another Lambo because he upset me.
Right, right. No, that's great points. Great points. And I have to admit, I've been a fan of the sandwich for a lot of years. But in recent years, and I'm talking just the last couple of years, this next generation that's coming up, they really do value the authenticity a lot more than my generation, an older generation did. And so the sandwich effect, if you're to your point, if you're not careful, that can come across as very disingenuous, very inauthentic. That's the problem, is that you're saying kind things on the bookends, but really what you're trying to say is in the middle. And that stuff has just now become fluff. Again, in my generation, that was kind of the way we handled things. But recently, your point is valid. We do need to be a little bit more to the point, concise, and not feel like we have to sugarcoat it as much, because this generation, the millennials and the Gen Z folks, they really do value just give it to me straight. Don't sugarcoat it. Be authentic. I think we can be kind in the process, but Yeah, it exactly. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. And that to me is a bigger contributor to psychological safety. So I appreciate you bringing that up because again, I still by habit fall into the sandwich method of doing things, just kind of the way I've always been. But I'm
Sure.
trying to work on that, just trying to say, hey, I can still be complimentary, be kind, but let's get to the meat of it and really focus on it. So great comment.
It's funny, I've actually had a friend mention that they're like, "My former boss could yell at me, and I would walk out of the room feeling great." And I'm like, "No, no, that's not it. If you screwed something up, you should
Right,
feel like you screwed something up,
right,
not like, 'Hey, he just stopped by for a cup of coffee.'"
right. Yeah, that's just it. We got to understand what you said earlier. There's some good to be gained from correction.
Yes.
There's something to be
Yes.
gained for us as an individual, but also the team. And we do have to remember that. And that is something that our good friends in the Gen Z millennials sometimes, and this could be any generation really, we sometimes forget that when you're working in a company, whether it's a large company, small company, you are part of a team and it's not just you. If you want to be a just you, then you're fit to be a solopreneur. Good luck. Go out and do that. So, well, great. Let's go on to question number two here. This is such a fun question. I really like this question. Josh, think of somebody that has had a really positive impact in your life. And as you're thinking about that person, what is one word that you would use to describe that person?
It's interesting. When I was looking at the questions ahead of time, I struggled with this a little bit because, of course, my dad was a huge, huge, huge influence in my life. He still is. He's 81 years old and still races a car. I mean, come on, how
Wow.
fun is that?
Yeah.
When it came to my leadership journey, and I wanted to angle towards that because that's what we're talking about. Really, it was the CFO when I was at the semi truck dealership, one of the last places that I worked, and he shaped me as a leader. And the one word that goes to that is servant. He told me right off the bat, he's like, he said, "Here's how I handle things, and here's how I'd like you to do things too." Is he said, as a leader, there's two things, and you can't do the first one without the second one. He goes, "Here's where we're going. As the leader, you have to establish where we're going. Here's where we're going. Here's why we're going there. That's great." He goes, "You cannot say the first one unless you say, 'What do you need from me?'"
Mhm.
And when you add that piece to it, it totally changes leadership into, hey, I mean, so many people are like, "Go here." Eh, Okay, but really, do I have to? Whereas if someone says, "Hey, go here," and like, how can I make this an easier journey for you? That the world of difference in that, and
Yeah.
that's what I mean, when he said that, all of a sudden, I mean, I don't wanna say the light bulb came on. It was like the entire city turned on for me, and I was like,
Wow.
"Oh, this," and I mean, every terrible boss that I have had previously, suddenly I was like, "They didn't do this."
Right.
And, it just made the world of difference to me.
Oh, I love that. It's a great word, servant, and it really does engender this idea again of team and that we're all here to help each other. And as the leader, you have to demonstrate, you have to mean it, you have to really care about your folks. If you're going to be in that role, you've got to be that servant leader to what can I do to empower you to be better in whatever way you want to be better? Do you need some resources? Do you need assistance, support, accountability partner, whatever it is? That's what a leader can do is that's how you empower your team and raise the level across the team is to get them all working together and you're just empowering them to be even better. I like that. Great comment. Thank you. All right, question number 3. Josh, share a little bit on how you could foster as a leader, foster a growth mindset. And it can be either for you as the leader yourself for an individual pursuit, or how do you lead your team and really engender this idea of a growth mindset?
It's one of those things that I guess I would say I've struggled with, but I'm always looking at new ways to do things, and that to me is the piece that has been the unlock for me over the past couple of years. Because when I first started, I mean, when I went from managing 5 semi truck dealerships with 170 employees to managing myself.
Yeah.
So big, big jump, big change.
Yeah.
It was when you're a part of a large industry with a lot of moving pieces, it was easier to tell people like, "Hey, here's a track that you can grow on." And like with, let's say, semi truck technicians, it was pretty easy to say, "Okay, you come in as a lube tech, you eventually work your way up to be a suspension tech, brake tech, things of that nature." When I got on my own, there was like, "Hey, this is all you, dude. That's it. There's nothing pushing." So what I really had to make a concerted adjustment on was looking for holes, because too many other people I feel like are chasing what the competition is doing. I've made a conscious effort to say, where are the holes? And it's the reason why, like, if anyone's watching, they see me in a tie and a vest as a podcaster. They're like, wait a minute, this dude's in a tie and a vest as a podcaster. I'm like, yeah, so many people in my industry are going for what I like to call the hobo look. So I figured, where's the hole in this? We work with a ton of lawyers. We work with financial
Mhm.
firms. They don't necessarily want to work with the hobo. They'd rather work with the guy that's in the snazzy vest and tie. So that was the hole in the industry. So for me, it's being intentional about looking for holes in your industry or holes in what you're doing. And that's where I've been able to focus on getting better.
Oh, I really like that. There is so much to a growth mindset that we obviously won't cover all of it today. These are just some quick ideas for our audience. But it really is that where can we make some improvements? Where are the holes? Where are some things that maybe people are doing it this way and we can do it a little bit differently? And that mindset of saying we want to grow into that, I love that. I love that. Next question is kind of similar, which is why we asked both of them in tandem there. Let's talk about emotional wellness for just a second. How can leaders manage emotional wellness? It can be really stressful to be in a leadership capacity, a leadership role. How can leaders manage their emotional wellness?
To me, I've got a when I was thinking about this one too, I thought, "Oh, let's make this the most ironic answer possible." It's to me, it's pull the emotion out of leadership.
Mhm.
And in so many cases, we react to things. And
Yes.
when someone screws something up, we're like, and we're going to go on. We look like the inflatable guys out in front of a used car dealership with the arms flailing and everything like that, and the screaming and the things of that nature. To me, it's taking that step back to say, how do I remove the emotion from this just for now? Because once again, if you can approach it directly, if you can approach it by minimizing the emotion in it, now you're going to get to a space where A, you can get something done, and B, the other person isn't going to feel like, hey, like they're being attacked. They once again feel like it's productive for them, it's helpful for them. So when you do those two things, then once you're on the path, then go ahead and start to feel the emotions. Because the thing that I found with that is that starts to mute them a little bit, so it's not these wild emotional swings. I heard a couple of weeks ago someone mentioned you never see the pendulum at the bottom. You see it when it's over here, and you see it when it's over here. If
True.
you feel I mean, you should feel the emotions, but feel them in this range instead of right when they first happen out there. So, like I always tell people, is take that first minute or two and be like, "Okay, react, go ahead and feel it, but don't just react on it with your people. Give them that, hey, look, we've got an issue here. Let's handle it and let's move on." And then go ahead and
Mhm.
bring the emotion back into it. But pull some of the emotion out of it. So then that way people don't feel targeted. People don't get, I guess I would say they can, it's okay to feel upset, but they shouldn't feel like threatened or anything like
Yeah.
that by it.
Yeah, and don't wallow in it either. I mean, there's gonna be almost this little period of time where you do need to kind of, "Oh, wow, what a mistake," or, "I didn't handle this correctly," or whatever. But the faster that we can move beyond that and get down to kind of the nuts and bolts, the unemotional part, that's when we can start to make some growth and we keep things in perspective. Because boy, I'll tell you, and I'm guilty of this. I mean, I would like to say I have not done this in years, but clearly I get emotional when I make a mistake. Somebody calls it out, I get angry with myself, and it's like, oh, come on, Sean, how could you have made a mistake like that? But we do, we've got to get it back down. And so I'm always, for myself at least, trying to think, okay, Sean, fix the problem and then find a way to make sure it doesn't happen again as best you can and get the emotion out of it. And then, yeah, like you say, go back and okay, feel bad, yes, but we don't need to wallow in it. Move on. Let's get going. But it's hard for me at least, and maybe I'm the only one. But it's easy to beat ourselves up sometimes when we make mistakes. But really, it's just do the best you can to fix it and prevent it from happening again and move on. So love that.
It's why offices have doors on them. Close the door, spin around in your chair for 2 minutes, then go ahead and attack
Yep.
it.
Yep. Give it some space. Oh, I love that. That's great. All right. Last question. This is kind of the fun question. Tell us a little bit about a first job that you had.
I've had so many first jobs that I don't know. I started like my actual first job where I was an employee for someone was actually a paper route. And being in a somewhat rural area, there was an area close by that had a sidewalk. My dad helped me, and there was many times where my dad, I think, took one of the newspapers, rolled it up, and beat me with it in order to get me to do the job. But it did. It was the Trading Post. It was a local paper, door to door. Had to bag it, set it on every door, and I started that when I was like 11 or 12, and it was hard, but it taught me a lot about the work and things of that nature. So yeah, that's the first job. I also around the same time started mowing some lawns,
Mhm.
which to me was the early landscaper in me, I guess you would say. And but yeah, both of those were. I mean, they taught me a lot about like just do the thing, don't put it off, just get it done.
Oh, wow. You and I have had very similar paths because that was my first job was the paper route and I
I
mowed
love it.
lawns. So the same exact growth pattern there. So way
Yes,
to
I
go.
love it.
It's sad to me that newspapers like what we're talking about here, these local ones are a dying business. They're not every day anymore. They're weekly at best. I mean, whatever it is, but because I thought it was a great experience. So
It was. It
there
it
we go.
truly was, and
Yeah.
there's some that have found a niche, and, I am so glad that they have because some of the writing in some of those is phenomenal.
Oh, wonderful. All right. Well, Josh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you taking time to be on the podcast and sharing your insights and your wisdom and expertise. How can people get a hold of you?
Two ways. Go to PedalStomperProductions.com. It is Stomper as in singular, just one, no S at the end of that. And then, or if it's on the other side of things, if you want to catch the Business Fix podcast, it's businessfixpodcast.com. We've got all the shows there. We have a ton of fun. My co-host and I, we always throw it back and forth to each other. And I always start by scaring the bejabbers out of her every episode.
That's awesome. Well, everybody, make sure you go check that out. It's always good to learn as much as we can, going back to our growth mindset discussion. So, well, Josh, thank you. And thanks to all of you who are joining us every week. If you are hearing or watching us for the first time, be sure to subscribe. And every week we will release a new episode that will talk about leadership and how we can become more effective leaders. Thanks so much, everybody. We appreciate you joining us and have a great day. This is Shawn Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. Be sure to follow or subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. And for more leadership tips, pick up your copy of Rapid Fire Leadership by going to rapidfireleadership.com, where you can also download free resources to help you in your leadership role. Thanks for joining us today. Have a great day.